It's Thursday. It's Thursday. It's Thirsty Thursdays. What you going to get to drink? What you going to do? Are you going out? Are you staying home? Or you going to hang with the crew? What's up with you? How you feeling? Feeling good? I hope you are, because I am too. Really quick, let's talk about, because we talked a little bit yesterday about money and where you should be and everything. But let's talk about, once again, how sometimes people waste money. So one of the best guys that I've ever seen play football, especially at the receiver / tight end position, which is Shannon Sharpe. So what a lot of people didn't know, and I even had to know it too, look it up also, because I know that at one point he said that the Cat Williams interview that I think has surpassed over 80 million views made him, almost as much money as he made during his playing career for a year. So now we know, of course, with all sports across the board, specifically basketball and baseball, these salaries have exponentially grown. So what did Shannon make over his 14-year Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame, three-time championship career? He made about that's what it says, about $22.3 million, all right, for 14 years. So let's see, that comes out to an average of roughly, maybe, less than $2 million a year when you look at it for 14 years, for all of that hard work and accomplishment. So the thing that has been great about him, and I think a lot of guys can learn from him, is how he's been able to parlay into different things. Where he's worked on his speech, he really does his homework when it comes on. That's why I'm going to miss watching him on ESPN. I used to even watch him on Fox, is because he does do his due diligence as far as his research and his work, and he's pretty spot on. Actually, a lot of times even better than Stephen A. Smith as far as his analysis of players and of situations, even in basketball. So he had on the table potentially a $100 million podcast deal for his club Shay and his nightcap that he does with Ocho Cinco. Now, a lot of people may not know this. They don't have it anymore in the corner. But Colin Cowherd, who is on Fox still, who has his own show and his own podcast, he actually had his own network. So Shannon was on his network, and I believe that's going to be over either this coming month, August, or at the end of August. So his relationship with that is going to contractually be over. And we know how it is. A lot of times, especially with media companies, they're not going to stick by people, especially when it's associated with any type of a scam. So that's most likely over. But Shannon was supposedly on the cusp of having a $100 million deal on the table. So you're like, wow, $100 million deal. Then boom, this thing comes out with this girl, or this young woman, shall I say. And for the most part, a lot of that will go away. Now, is Nightcap and Club Shay still pretty good? Yes, it is. But of course, we all know YouTube is great, but there's nothing like the guaranteed. Now, I don't know how much money he was making at ESPN. I would assume he had to be making anywhere from $4 to $10 million per year coming back on doing ESPN. Considering when they're paying Pat McAfee and they're paying Stephen A. Smith and upwards of $15 to $20 million per year. And Shannon Sharpe was pretty hot. So even if it were $5 million a year for a 4-year contract, hey, listen, that's still money that's blown now because they fired him. The one thing that stuck out to me, before I get to that also too, allegedly, because you can look it up and people have said it, allegedly he had to pay the young lady out $23 million. Now, I don't know about you, but if I only made $22 million playing and busting my body up, and like I said, that was years ago, so he still has made a ton of money since then. But still, that's money for your kids, for everybody, for your own personal needs, your family, and stuff like that. Who wants to pay it out to one person because you had this tumultuous fling with somebody? And I think that although I feel like ESPN was going to fire him anyway, I think they did it immediately, almost after the settlement came out, because although he may not be necessarily guilty, but because he chose to settle, especially after coming out saying he was going to fight and this was a shakedown, now it seems like you're being shaky with what you're saying. So for them to let him go, it was almost like, you know what? This guy says one thing, this is something else. You know what? We're just not dealing with it. Let's just cut our losses now. Because the truth of the matter is, ESPN is one of those kind of places where we know it's owned by Disney/ABC, but Disney's one of those kind of places where, guess what? They're not going to lose to anybody else. Who's their real competitor? Fox Sports, FS1. That's it. They don't really have a major competitor. All right, and they're in bed with all of the sports leagues so heavily, it's almost a monopoly. So although you may not be able to see Shannon, they'll find somebody else to replace him who they feel as though can still adequately do the job. And on top of that, as we know, they still have Stephen A. Smith. But what can we learn from this? As we always try to talk about learning. When you choose to make a decision, and it's unfortunate because a lot of times with our brothers, especially our high profile celebrity black guys, it's always two things typically. Women and money. Women and money. And so here it is, his brother, and he said this today or yesterday, and I was like, wow. His brother, Sterling Sharpe, who was a beast also. If you never got to see him play, look at some highlights. His brother was a beast. And his brother had to stop playing abruptly because he had too many neck injuries. And the doctor, I think, was saying that he could possibly be paralyzed if he continued to play. So he said, you know what? And he hung it up. So for years, Shannon has been one of the staunch supporters of him making it into the Hall of Fame. He's made it into the Hall of Fame, meaning Sterling Sharpe. So Sterling Sharpe and Shannon Sharpe are going to be the only two brothers in NFL history to both be in the into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Right? So now he's a little upset. He expressed that, Shannon that is, that he felt like that's going to overshadow him because I think those proceedings are this weekend. And he asked ESPN, he said he found out earlier this week from ESPN, but he wanted ESPN to give him a little more time to try to just, until his brother had been inducted before they actually broke the news. And, they refused to do it because I guess they say, hey, look, our company, our brand is bigger than you worrying about your brother getting into the Hall of Fame. If you were so worried about that, Shannon, why didn't you practice some discipline? Why didn't you find somebody your own age, Shannon, or close to your own age? These are things that people won't say, but definitely the way they feel. In closing, Shannon, a lot of other people, especially celebrity athletes, we talk about this stuff all the time. And I'll leave you with this. Even as a quote unquote regular guy, we see beautiful women all of the time. We see a lot of women that we're attracted to all of the time. Whether it could be because, she got a nice butt or whatever it is. She got a nice rack on her, pretty face, whatever it is. But at a certain point, as a man, you have to say, you know what? I'm going to pass on that. First because, so let's use the Shannon Sharpe thing. She's not on the level. She's not on the level age-wise. She's not on the level financially. She's not on the level emotionally. She's not on the level mentally. So it's already four things, four different issues that you can look at and say, why did you do it outside of the physical attraction, dog? Why did you do it? So I'm just saying that to us, to you, to me, to all of us out here. Like, listen, be careful who you date, man. Because most of us don't have $23 million, or even if he gave her $2 or $3 million, whatever the final payout is. Because everything else has been much more catastrophic. Because initially he offered her $10 million. And she allegedly didn't take that. But look at the fallout from everything. So now it doesn't just affect him, it affects his brother who's going into the Hall of Fame this weekend. Have to be mindful of what we do as far as especially who we deal with, because I say it to like even guys a lot of times, like, you're even if you're 40 years old, you decide to choose to start messing with somebody in their 20s, you are going to be in for a world of trouble because you guys are experiencing things at totally different times in your lives. where you kind of want to chill. You might think that you cool and still look young and all of that. But guess what, dog? You need to go sit down and chill somewhere and pick your spots. Not saying be an old man, be a smart man. But that's all I got for today as far as that on them. And we're going to go into another brother of ours. And this one is from Philly, talking about him in a second. And, oh, man, we just got to get right, guys. We got to get right. Some of us are too old to be going through this kind of stuff. If we were 20, 25, I could see. But a lot of us are too old and close to 50. Let's get it right. But until then, live life. Don't let life live you.